Hello and welcome to Silverstone. It's slightly cold, but I'm excited because this weekend I'm racing in the Blancpain GT3 Championship in Van. The McLaren 650S GT3 car run by Garage 59. My teammates, Alex West and Chris Goodwin, the McLaren factory test driver. We're going to do Spa 24 hours later in the year as well. I'm a very lucky boy. So today is all about getting to know the car a bit. I've not driven this car before. It's mid-engine, a bit different to what I'm used to, but I'm very, very excited. And I've just done 5 laps and it is napping quick. First up was the Saturday test. We ended up middle of the AM class with Chris the quickest in the car, but we had a few setup tweaks to make for the following morning. So that was the end of what they call pre-qualifying, which is the final test. So it's qualifying tomorrow, which is 3 15-minute sessions, 1 for each driver. How did that go? We ran worn tyres, just 1 set of tyres today. So they've done equivalent of a double stint, which is harsh on any Pirelli, but especially harsh here. And I think we did an all right job, you know. We've got to manage our expectations. We've got to try and do well in our class, not get too worried by the pro drivers. I like to get a car set up on old tyres, and it feels great on old tyres. You then bung some new ones on, you have that lovely eureka moment when the fresh rubber keys into the asphalt and you think, oh, this is amazing. So I'm hoping that happens tomorrow. But I'm racing in McLaren, so I kind of don't really care either way. Alex went first, and because there's no refuelling allowed, he had the heaviest car. Even so, he finished P1 in class and said the car felt pretty good. I went next and managed to get stuck behind the Lamborghini for my 2 flying laps, but was still P1 in class. Now this is perhaps a little unfair on Mr. Goodwin, because despite being our quickest driver, he was also up against some very fast AM drivers in cars whose balance and performance was more suitable to Silverstone. He got down to a mid-202 second lap, but ended up 3rd in class, which was actually still a great result for our first event. And anyhow, in the AM class, where you qualify doesn't really matter. The aim here is to finish the race, not get caught up in some testosterone fight at the sharp end and last 2 laps. This is, after all, a 3-hour endurance race for 3 drivers. We're in good shape. I know we're starting, I think, 50th, which doesn't look great on the timing sheet, but we're an AM car. We can't expect to beat the pro drivers, the best grid in the world. But across the 3 drivers, I think we've got good pace. So there is one very fast driver in one of the AM Ferraris called David Perel, who was my teammate at Spa 24 last year, so I know how good he is. But I'm not sure his other 2 guys can stay with him. So hopefully, over the 3 drivers, I think we're in good shape. Car felt good to me. I was just stuck behind a couple of people in qualifying, but it doesn't worry me. Stay calm, stay out of trouble at the beginning of the race, give 50-50 balls to the other person so you don't get in trouble. And spend as little time in the pits as possible, and then we might have a chance of a result. Took the start, and Silverstone was sunny and beautiful, and the grid of 55 cars with us 50th looked spectacular.
What's the problem? Start it! Pit lane! We've got to get it off the grid! Pit lane, please!
And then, yes, a flat battery stranded Alex on the grid. He had to be pushed into the pit lane and start from there, which would have left us a lap down. But you can always count on the pro drivers to misbehave, and they duly made a mess of the rolling start and had to complete another green flag lap, which allowed Alex to catch up with the back. we were back in the race.
So not quite the start we expected or necessarily wanted. We had a flat battery on the start line, so we had to start from the pit lane. Then there was an extra formation lap, so that confused the marshals as whether they can let us out, but they did. Alex got to the back of the pack, and the best news so far, that in the first section of the race, Alex West went purple. That will probably never happen to us again this season, so we're currently having a glass of champagne at the back.
Alex wasn't wasting time. After a few laps, he was up to 46th and making more moves. Then he held P2 in class, admittedly a long way behind David Perel in the Kessel Ferrari, but he was close enough to let myself and Chris catch David's teammates later in the race. If he could keep this up, we were looking at a class win. And then this happened. Which was pretty shoddy, really. Bashed from the rear by a Mercedes, which then whacked the front for good measure. The right rear was punctured, and by the time Alex got back to the pits and the team had done a great job of changing the nose, we lost over 10 minutes.
Amazing job so far.
I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Just get back out there and get some laps under your belt. You know you were purple in the first sector. You could not have done that better.
Alex went back out, but his times were slower, so it was clear the car wasn't right. Before the race, Blancpain boss Stefan Rattel told all drivers that if you ruin someone else's race, we will ruin your race. Accordingly, Mercedes number 32 served a 5-minute drive-through penalty. That must be the longest punishment I've ever seen at a motor race, but it still didn't give us our race back.
That's big. 44. That is big. It's all going off now. I've got to get in the car, but we've been hit once and sent off, then we've been hit again. Big shunt for a pro McLaren, now I've got to put my lid on, so yeah, it's a bit too eventful this, but it's a warm-up race, we're not worrying about it yet.
If all goes to plan, I'm going to look at getting you in approximately 8 minutes.
Jumped in after an hour, several laps off the back of the race, and couldn't really do much. The front was so badly damaged I had no front downforce, and it was losing vast amounts of time in the quick turns. And Silverstone is full of quick turns. the last few laps of my stint, the car began to understeer wildly through the left-handers, at which point the main noise in the car was me whining like a child down the radio. Sorry, team. I pitted and there was fluid down the side of the car where a radiator had been knocked by the Merc. Fluid had been dripping onto the right front tyre, and we had to retire the car, which was hugely frustrating.
Not the end we wanted. After my second stint, we've retired the car. It sustained so much damage in that hit from the Mercedes. No fault of Alex's, so we've retired it. There was too much damage at the front. I couldn't really maintain any high-speed aero. That's my excuse anyway. So, look, it was a test race to prepare us for the Spa 24 Hours, and in that, we've had a flat battery, we've had someone hit us, we've had body damage. The team has worked brilliantly, so I think as a way of exorcising all of the potential problems that might come about at Spa, this has been a successful weekend. We'd love to have finished, but I love racing this car and it's going to happen again soon.
This was really a test outing for the Spa 24 Hours, and we actually learned a lot about the car, the drivers, and the competitors to avoid when we get to Belgium. The Spa 24 Hours is the mecca of all GT3 category racing. It's the biggest, most grueling race of all, and it's the one that everyone wants to win the most. And by everyone, I mean the full factory teams, the ones with the cash. This year I've been racing a Bentley Continental GT in the Blancpain Endurance Series with, it has to be said, mixed success. Small errors and a little bad luck meant that we were mid-table in the championship despite having led the class in each of the 3 previous races. The Spa 24 is both a standalone event and a round of the championship. Well, 3 rounds actually, because there are 3 sets of points available after 6 hours, 12 hours, and then the finish line. Bag all of them, and we could still win the championship. Team Parker Racing run the Bentley. For me, it's like spending time with your mates. I've known them for years. We spend lots of time laughing, but we race hard and we want to win.
So this is the boss, this is Stuart Parker, he of Team Parker Racing. What are we aiming for here? Are we aiming to just finish, trundle round and then see what happens and where that puts us? Or are we going to push a bit harder? What are we going to do?
I think we've got to aim for the podium right from the word off. And
is there any part of this that you enjoy? The brow is furrowed. Will you smile again at about 4 o'clock tomorrow?
No, about 4:30 tomorrow you'll probably see relief more than anything else. It's the hardest 24 hours of your life, but then the most exciting. There's so much work, you know, it's months of planning, weeks of preparation to get here.
How many boys here? How many people running it?
In total this week we've had 26 people here.
I've done lots of 24-hour races with this boy, he's the man, and the most important thing is we do smile. Because if you come here and you don't enjoy it, there's no point in doing it.
We want to enjoy it. Ultimately we want to be successful. You know, but every year it gets harder. It gets bloody harder.
Well, we've got a very good shout in Am and a very good shout in Caravan, haven't we?
The reality is we've got a great car with a great crew, team and driver. If we get a bit of luck on our side and a clean run, we'll be there at the end and we'll be doing well. But we do need luck on our side.
My teammates Derek Pearce, David Perrell and Carl Rosenblatt had experience and pace, and we knew the car was fast.
It's a very difficult car to get in and out of at Bentley because it's a massive old boat, but the packaging in there is really tight. The seat is very tight, it's low down, the cage is in the way. You used to have it bungee, so the top straps would just ping away and hang perfectly for you. You can't do that. Want to get to 30 seconds, we're around about 44 at the moment.
Cars in the pit lane, car stops.
This is crucial, this is free time. It's much easier doing this than going and trying to get 2 tenths through Blanchimont, which is quite scary at night.
The weekend starts on, well, Tuesday. I've raced at Spa for years but have never seen it so busy. 65 entries crammed onto a 4.35 mile circuit. The free practice session that afternoon felt crowded and not all of the cars were running. Thousands of people turned up to see the cars. It really did feel like a mini Le Mans, only with better looking cars because let's face it, a modern GT3 machine looks miles cooler than some hybrid they all look the same prototype. Qualifying proper was on the Thursday. It really didn't matter where we ended up because we weren't fighting for an overall win. We just wanted to win the amateur class. In many ways, you have to suppress your natural racing urges at an event like the Spa 24. Pushing harder and going much faster rarely offset extra time spent in the pits. In other words, you just need to pound around and stay out of trouble. I'll say that again now. Stay out of trouble.
This is my not very happy face. There was a ropey qualifying. Car was understeering, then it was oversteering. I couldn't get any balance. I drove it badly. I got stuck in traffic. We're 53rd. I mean, we should be below 40 because we're an AM car. We expect that, but yeah, that wasn't my finest hour, I have to say. Really struggled.
So on that Thursday, we qualified 53rd from 64 cars. Nothing stellar, but then we weren't trying too hard. And even though the car had too much understeer, we all felt it wasn't too bad. But most of all, it felt strong. The Bentley is the most unlikely of all GT3 racers. It's a vast lump of metal with a ton removed from the street car before M Sport set about placing the centre of mass as helpfully as possible. It weighs around 1,280 kilograms dry. The V8 has been completely repositioned behind the front axle line. Yes, it's technically mid-engined, and it has enough downforce to corner at 2 Gs. It's a 550 horsepower monster, not the newest car on the grid, but with the balance of performance system, it's still a very fast package. What's balance of performance, you ask? Well, depending on your viewpoint, it's either quite a rigorous system designed to equalise the performance of GT3 cars and keep the grids full of interesting supercar shapes, or it's something for racing drivers to whinge about on a minute-by-minute basis. Basically, if you go slowly one race, the authorities give you a larger intake restrictor and some more ponies for the following race. Friday afternoon was the top 20 shootout. Proper race car theatre, outlap, flyer, in-lap. Only one chance, biggest balls wins. Now what you need to know about the Spa 24 is that most of the factory teams are so obsessed with winning that they will sacrifice winning the actual Blancpain Championship. It's called sandbagging, deliberately going slowly, then snagging some extra performance for the next race. Mercedes had been the subject of much pit lane gossip all week because its new GTS wasn't quite showing the pace people expected. Now you'd have thought that if Mercedes was playing it a bit cute, it might try and be a little bit subtle when it deployed the full Affalterbach. Well, it duly bagged pole position, and that raised a few suspicious eyebrows. But then locking out second to sixth as well did slightly smack of taking the balance of The following morning, the scrutineers decided they had been taking the not through sandbagging though, but an illegal ignition timing setting, so all the Mercs were lobbed to the back of the top 20. Audi inherited the pole position, the factory Bentley number 8 car was 3rd, the other Team Parker car in the Pro-Am class was a very impressive 8th, and the other factory Continental was 10th. In an effort to have a decent spread of Bentley-shaped cars at both ends of the grid, we lined up 53rd. But remember, quali is nothing in a race as attritional as the Spa 24 hours. This was my first Spa 24. I've done 10 Nürburgring 24-hour races and thought I knew how punishing long-distance racing could be. I was about to be sent back to school.
That is the back of the grid. This is almost the back of the grid. But it's not a problem. It's a 24-hour race. You don't win it in qualifying. You certainly don't win it in the first hour. We need to get on with this now. We need to truck round. This is all about spending a small amount of time as possible in the pit lane. Scheduled stops only. That's how you do well. Trying to trim 2 tenths here, go flat through there will make no difference whatsoever. We actually have to just stay out of the pits. The atmosphere is spot on. All the weather forecasts said it wasn't going to rain. Sky suggests otherwise, so it's proper Spa. A lot of people here. It's a well-supported event. It's really, really cool race. You can tell I'm quite happy. I want to get on to the racing now because we've spent days building up to this. We need to get on and race.
Remember, we do the same work. I'm just the most scared one. That was a good one.
Carl took the start and managed to control his racer instincts and avoid trouble. Other people weren't as careful. He pitted after an hour and I took over. Then the mayhem began. At the time, Kevin Estre, emerging from the pit lane, took all the flack for this monster shunt. But from this angle, I don't know what else he could have done. The barrier repair took close to an hour, which isn't far off a tank of fuel in the Bentley, so I stayed in the car, splashed and dashed and went back out. This is brutal racing. Having an AM badge on your backside marks you out for zero tolerance from the pro cars. You like to think you can just trundle around, but the reality is you have to push just to not get caught up in other people's accidents. It's the most exhilarating racing I've experienced. We were 53rd and 7th in class when I jumped in. Some lucky brakes, clever strategy from our engineer Rich, and good pace meant that when I climbed out we were 39th overall and first in class. This was looking very, very promising. It's 8:15, already plenty of party drama. I got in the car many hours ago and did about 35-40 minutes, and there was a big safety car period. It lasted nearly an hour because a Porsche and a Ferrari had got sort of a bit too close and cuddly at the top of a Rouge. And that dented the barrier, so they had to replace the barrier. That took ages. So I stayed in for the hour of the safety car. The car feels great, same set of tyres, so we were a bit tyre marginal towards the end, but I think I managed them quite well. I managed to fuel okay, so got in position 53, came in position 33, and P1 in class. Just got a truck on now, if everyone can just bumble along. we're quick in the bits where you want to be quick, and we can block them where we want to block them because we're so massively huge. So rock on. Hope we can carry on. And it'll be a sleeper now.
Tell me these cars do not look absolutely spectacular smashing their way around what must be the best circuit for racing. Now all we had to do was keep the AM opposition behind us and not crash. Whoops. Derek got it wrong going into Les Combes and confirmed how strong the Bentley really is. It took an hour to get it back to base and fix the bodywork. It's at this point you have to ignore the voices in your head telling you any kind of result is impossible. In a race like this, anything is possible. As proved by David when he climbed in and immediately started setting very fast lap times. Forget our position now, forget 2 hours time, even 16 hours ahead. You have to concentrate on that final hour. Get there without losing any more time, and you just never know.
The news is not necessarily good. We're back out and running, but we're down at the bottom. We're 13 laps down or something. We're going to carry on, be plucky and British, Bentley-like. But yeah, we were P1 in class, and we were 30-something overall, and now we're not. So difficult to be positive at this moment, but it's endurance racing. We've got to keep going now and hope that everyone else has a terrible time. Because unless they have a terrible time, we ain't getting anywhere. But when I was in it, the car was magnificent, the circuit's magnificent, amazing experience, but I'd be lying if I said I'm anything other than completely gutted at the moment. I need to go and jivvy myself up. The nature of the beast. You get in the car, you're 58th. You pound around that you've done a great job. For 2 hours, you get out and you're 58th. That's what happens when you're several laps down. Look, we're clawing them back. and there is still technically half a day to go. I was very demoralised early, you can tell I was down. But the reality is, there's one circuit on the planet that you'll pound around in a Bentley GT car with the knowledge that you're probably not going to get a result. It's this one. Spa is astonishing at night. Blanchimont, the entry to Blanchimont is blind. The headlights are pointing the wrong way, and you just have to sort of guess, and you're doing 140 miles an hour. Some people appear to be flat through it. I'm not. Let's just keep pounding around, see what happens. She's a right old battle bus. She had to stop for another wiring loom that got lost in that wheel arch that got damaged, so that the headlight wasn't working. It's been hit left-hand side. I wasn't hit in that particular session, but the vehicle is resembling a Kingston Jamaican taxi at the moment. Rock on. What a race this is.
I double stinted next time out. If you'd asked me what it was like to be pushed into a spin at 110 miles an hour between La Source and Eau Rouge before the race, I'd have said, I have no intention of ever finding out. Now I've done it, I can tell you it's terrifying. The front and rear touched the wall. Somehow it ended in a perfect 360, but the car still took 40 minutes to repair. There's no TV coverage of the incident, sadly, but the circuit safety cameras did capture it. Team boss Stuart Parker went to see that footage. I'm not quite sure how you're still alive, he said, looking worryingly disappointed at the outcome.
Well, it's been a roller coaster ride. We started in, I think, 55th position, and after a lot of hours, we're in 53rd position. We got up to 33rd, and we were leading the class, and then Derek had a whoopsie, and then we sort of clawed our way back a bit, and then I got taken out by a Ferrari, and I was really downbeat, and I didn't want to carry on in the middle of the night and to the point of risking life and limb. But now I'm in the spirit of it. You just got to get down and dirty and try and finish the event, haven't you? And wherever we finish, I think we'll have a sense of some sort of achievement. Team Parker doing an amazing job. The whole car is just held together by rivets, cable ties and gaffer tape. In fact, there was a gaffer tape emergency a minute ago. We ran out. We've used so much. But it's still pounding around. Derek at the wheel. We've lost a load of front downforce, so we don't have much pace because there's no flicks left on the front of it, and the splitter's all a bit broken and the rear wing's all knackered. I suppose that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Now we really were struggling to see what was possible, and the poor Bentis looked like it had gone 15 rounds with a T-Rex. We continued to pound around though, David going faster than ever, but now clinging to the hope that other people fell off or had mechanical issues. And then with 5 hours to go, a cloud burst and Carl was left with nowhere to hide, even on full wet weather tyres. He aquaplaned and hit the barrier hard, and the race was over.
I think that's the most grueling 20 hours or 19 and a half hours I've spent at a racetrack. It's over for us. Carl's just had a spin in the wet and it's ripped the splitter off, it's bent the chassis leg. It's tricky in the wet, so I totally understand. It just wasn't meant to be, was it? We've had problem after problem, whoopsie after whoopsie. We've ended up in this position, but the front of the car is damaged now. Team Parker boys done an amazing job keeping us going this long. These are emotional roller coasters because you feel euphoric when it's good, so down and dejected when it's bad. You almost need 3 days off to let your brain reset afterwards. Still love racing cars, but endurance racing at Spa, when the rain suddenly appears out of nowhere like it did just then, is as brutal as it comes. I suppose that's what makes it the pinnacle of this type of sport. As for GT3 racing and the 24 Hours of Spa, I have to come and do this again because it is an incredible event. Yeah. I'm going to go and drown my sorrows now. Bye-bye.
This is an extraordinary event. Until the very closing stages, it looked like a factory Bentley might actually win. Then the weather intervened again, and a BMW M6 won. A BMW. That just wasn't supposed to happen. But there is no script at Spa,